Hello, people. Andrew here, talking about comics from a reader, collector, speculator, investor point of view, in that order of importance to myself. And today I'm talking about the Alien Legion. Alien Legion was created in the early 80s by Carl Potts, Alan Zelenetz, and Frank Scirocco. Alan Zelenetz did the writing for the first series, and Frank Scirocco did the artwork for the first 7 issues. And then Chris Warner stepped in for 3, and then finally Larry Stroman finished off the series and illustrated the second volume as well. So what is the Alien Legion? Well, it's there's out in space there are 3 galaxies that form the Tolfin Galactic Union (TGU), and their primary goal is to maintain peace amongst these galaxies. And to do that, they have a mercenary squad called the Alien Legion that enforces their laws. It is a peacekeeping mission. It usually works on the fringes of the galaxies. It protects shipments coming in from pirates. The main pirates and the main bad guys in the story are the Harkellons. So they thwart their deeds. The Harkonnens always trying to make a buck or take over parts of the galaxy, and they suppress uprisings, and so they have their galactic force known as the Alien Legion. The Legion itself is comprised of all kinds of different alien creatures, and there's a great deal of design in the various aliens. They're from all walks of life. Some of them are just adventurers looking for the thrill of being part of the Legion. Others have escaped oppression from their home planet. Others are still criminals that are escaping justice or trying to avoid a long prison service, they'd rather join the Legion for that. So it's a hodgepodge of characters. So while politics does play into the story from time to time, it mainly focuses on the mercenaries themselves, the actual fighting units, the frontline ground troops, and specifically one group called the Nomad Squad. The Nomad Squad is run by a guy by the name of Captain Saragar. Captain Saragar is very much like a mythological Naga, where you can see he's got the snake serpentine body, but he's got sort of the human upper portion of his body. He's rather large, probably about 20 feet long. He's the captain of the whole squad itself. And he does have a lieutenant. Oh. And his lieutenant is Tory Montrock. His father, Tory's father, a wealthy businessman and a political muckety muck. So he has, he's got his son enrolled in doing the Alien Legion, doing the right thing, the heroic thing, making a man out of his son, whatever. So Tori is, the lieutenant. And there's a third character as well that's sort of the rebel within the squad, a guy by the name of Jugger Grimrod. And Jugger, to me, reminds me an awful lot of Victor Franco, John Cassavetes' character in The Dirty Dozen. He becomes a fan favorite as well. So the story is very episodic, as opposed to one giant 20-issue series. It ran for 20 issues for the first run, between 1984 and 1987. It was 20 issues long. And when I say episodic, it means you would get the adventure. This is what the Legion, particularly Nomad Squad, is supposed to be doing in this particular issue or two. This is how things go from bad to worse, and this is how they get out of it. And then when you come back for the next issue or 2 issues later, it's a new adventure, it's a new task that is assigned for the Nomad Squad. Characters come and go, and I say characters come and go because one of the things I did like about it, not that I'm advocating death in any sort of way, but this is a sort of a big. It's kind of like a war type of comic, right? I mean, you've got these mercenaries out there fighting for their lives to struggle against certain things, and some of the legionnaires do die. And in this particular series, if you die, you don't come back. One of the things, and that's fun, but one of the things I like is that you were never too sure exactly who would make it. There were some characters that developed and they're there for a number of issues, and then something happens on one of these missions and they're no longer with us. So there is a turnover rate of characters, and it has a greater sense of realism, even though it's set way off into space with these different galaxies and what have you. So, is it worth the read? Yes, absolutely, 100%. Uh, uh, I enjoyed all of it. I haven't read all of it. It ran for 20 issues, and during this 20-issue run in 1986, there was a Marvel graphic novel. I think it was issue number 25. One of those large square-bound ones, called "A Gray Day to Die." I have that. Not that particular treasury, but I'm going to get it. But it did show up in the Alien Omnibus, volume number 2. I do have volume number 1, but it's on loan to my daughter right now. So volume 1 and 2 of the Omnibus is the first 20-issue run of the Alien Legion, plus A Gray Day to Die. It followed this up with another 18-issue set, ran from where? From 1987 to 1990, and that one was written by Chuck Dixon, but still illustrated by Larry Stroman. There were a number of graphic novels to follow it, but prestige style, these square-bound ones, and I'll show you a couple of those. And then a couple of short stories in Epic magazine, and because Epic Comics was creator-owned material, if Marvel no longer wanted to publish anything by Alien Legion, or even if the creator said, I no longer want my work to be published by Marvel, they could go to a different publisher. And there is a 4-issue series called the Alien Legion, released by Titan Comics in 2014. I don't have that one, and I'd be interested in getting that. But I have many of the others I'm working on my way. So is it worth the read? Absolutely. I enjoyed all of the stories. It's funny, I've got a friend who's very big on Star Wars. He even at one point in time had a toaster shaped like Darth Vader's head and toasted the word Star Wars on the bread. I have another friend who's a very big fan of Star Trek, and actually had his bucket list managed to go and see the birthplace of Captain Kirk. And don't ask me where that is. I think it's like Montana or something like that. But, that was... I know he's fictional, so really his birthplace would be where Gene Roddenberry's birthplace is. But nonetheless, my friend, big Star Trek fan, went out and saw the birthplace of James T. Kirk. And I'm not a big fan of either one of them. I like both of the stories. If I was going to lean anywhere, I'd probably lean a little bit more towards Star Trek. But I think there's a third choice, and that third choice would be Alien Legion. I would pick this book and this series over either one of those, even though they have a longer and deeper history, and there's cinema and film and TV and what have you. But I find this one, I enjoyed much more. I mean, Star Wars is very, very high-powered political movement as far as the films are concerned. I can't speak for the streaming. I haven't watched that. At Star Trek, you deal with sure, it's just one group on the Enterprise for the most part, but it's the higher ups that you deal with. You don't deal with the crew or the away team so much. This one is very, very frontline. This is all about the squad that's on the ground actually getting the job done. I really liked Alien Legion, and I do recommend it. I recommended it so much that I gave, as I say, the omnibus number 1 to my daughter, who reads graphic novels and comics from time to time, and we'll see what she has to say about it. But I really enjoyed it, and I do recommend it. If you're, as I say, a Star Wars, Star Trek fan, definitely in that zone. If you just want a good adventure story, this is good, and it's self-contained. It has no superheroes, no ties to the Marvel Universe at all at the moment. I don't foresee anything happening there. It's a self-contained world. It's a good, enjoyable series. It's not just all about combat. It's about the characters themselves. There is character development. There is some political intrigue. And there's some clever ways that they get out of situations. And there's a wide range of aliens that are unique and interesting just by themselves. There's a lot going on here. The omnibus that I showed It was picked up in the winter of 2021 when I picked up the White Collection. I had a video called The Sixth Gun where I talk about the White Collection. The Sixth Gun was like my fourth video and it was poor lighting and whatever. Anyways, I talked about the White Collection there where I picked up a number of things. And a number of things in that White Collection were very different. There were no superhero books in that collection. And it was filled with stuff that some of it that I had heard of, like the Hellboy and Magnolia Universe and Yosagi Yojimbo that I had never read. So it was a little bit of offbeat material. And in that collection of offbeat material was the Alien Legion Omnibus 1 and 2, because it does have somewhat of a cult appeal. That's issue number 1. I'm just going to show you some of the issues here, because as far as as far as we're looking, as far as collectibles or speculation on any particular issue, like when a character shows up or something like that. No, there's not going to be there. This is, you're collecting this because you want to collect the Alien Legion. You may want to collect it because you're trying to run your epic collection to completion. But for the most part, it's just all about the Alien Legion. And as far as speculation is concerned, interesting, like issue number 1 is still available in dollar bins. I think I passed one the last time I was looking in the last couple of months. I've seen a copy of it, not in the dollar bin, then I saw it in the $2 bin. So it's still it's lingering around in these low costs. And the same thing for all of the books, other than the graphic novel, which is a little bit more expensive, a little harder to find. But all of these books of the Alien Legion, you just pick them up piece by piece throughout all of these dollar bins, and they're still there. So, but I'm telling you, the property itself of Alien Legion has floated through a number of different hands as far as turning it into either a film or into a streaming series. Right now, currently, I believe it's in Warner Brothers' hands, and they picked it up in 2023. So maybe they're considering doing an adaptation of the Alien Legion. Honestly, I think it would be a great series. I think, because of the characters and because there's some strong stories that have already been developed throughout this comic book series, that there's a lot of material to work with, a lot of interesting characters. They've got a whole galactic empire set up. There is people tend to enjoy this. As just look at the success of Star Trek and Star Wars, that there is a need for that sort of stuff. This was the final issue of the first run, as I say, which was 20 issues long. So there's quite possibly that the Alien Legion is going to see some screen time. And if that's the case, I can imagine that the first issue would go up in value. And of course, as I say, you can buy it for next to nothing. This is the first issue of the second run that ran for 18 issues. So I would, if I was in the dollar bin, as I said, I've already got like 3 copies of this, maybe even 4, of Alien Legion number 1. I skip over them now because, I've been thinking this for years and years, and of course nothing's happened from it. But I'm still saying that if you find it in the dollar bin, number 1, pick it up just if you're just into the whole speculation thing. Just put it aside for a while because it's only going to cost you a couple of bucks. The other thing is read it because it's a good story, and I imagine that when I say read it and you haven't read it before, some of you would get hooked on the series and say, yeah, I'd like to read that whole series. Omnibus 1 and 2 features the whole first 20 issue run plus the graphic novel Grey Day to Die. I don't know about the second series, but I know that this was the final issue of the second series. Would I get any of this sort of stuff graded into a 9.8? I mean, there's tons of good-looking copies out there that are in the 9s. I would hold off on the grading right now until I find out. Like, I wouldn't go out and buy a 9.8 Alien Legion. Even for the cost, well, maybe for the cost of the grading, I might be, depending on it. But really, they're so cheap to find in dollar bins. The whole series, other than the graphic novel, it's cheap to find in the dollar book. I wouldn't be buying slab books for this, and I wouldn't spend my money to get them slabbed at the moment. I would wait and see if anything does develop. So this is what I mean by one of their graphic novels that followed afterwards. They were prestige style. This is a square bound book with a cardboard cover, and there was basically three issues like limited series. There's a couple of single issues, Binary Deep, and one specifically about Jugger Grimrod. And they ran, and this was following the initial 38 issue run type of thing, and it continued the story, which was good. So I got a couple of those, One Planet at a Time and On the Edge. So yes, recommendation is read it, enjoy it, pick it up in the dollar bin. At least give it a try because I think it's a decent series, and as I say, I do recommend this with no reservations. As far as spec is concerned, get yourself a copy of issue number one, but don't bother, getting it graded at the moment. There's no need for that. And just once hope for the best as far as the cinema. I'm hoping for the best not because I want the book to go up in value. Don't really care about that. What I do care about is, obviously I care a little bit. I went about 4 copies, but I want to. I would like to see this on cinema, and with the way technology works and computer generated graphics, et cetera, I think that they could accomplish some of the alien forces quite well and make it a believable sort of story. And it's a good story. So read it when you get a chance. Buy it and read it. It's good stuff to read. That's what I've got to say about Alien Legion. I hope you get a chance to pick up some of this and read it. But until then, as I always say, be good to yourself and be good to others, and we'll talk again soon.